Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your host.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for watching another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. It's going to be a rough day for us Cowboy fans. I'm still here wearing my cowboy blue. Glutton for punishment, damn, man. The Cowboys, they couldn't stop the run again. Their secondary was booty crumbs. They just put up a poor showing from the beginning, John. This game got ugly quick. They just couldn't stop Derrick Henry, man. He went off on the Cowboys, and Cowboys fans were in shambles. Cowboys didn't show any signs of life until the third quarter. This was just an ugly game for the boys, man. Give me something. I'm on life support today, dude.
Well, I'm not going to give you anything good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. For the last few years, the trick to beating the Cowboys was to run the ball on them. We all thought the Niners were just a better team because they were always beating the Cowboys in the playoffs. They are a better team, but it's because they run the ball. But now the secret's out. The Packers did it last year, and it looks like every team in the NFL has figured it out. Hey, just run it down their throats. Again, the secret's out. It's an easy way to beat them. The Cowboys, I saw a stat that's crazy. The last two games, the two teams, the Saints and the Ravens, ran 104 plays. 79% of those were runs. Nobody in the NFL runs 79% of the time unless you're playing the Cowboys. And these teams are running up the score doing it. It's not like they're trying to conserve the clock and they're not trying to make it a grind. No, they're running the ball and they're getting chunks and they're scoring at will. The issues the Cowboys have with running the football is they don't run the football either, but stopping the run, it's going to haunt them all year. Every team in the league is going to line it up and run it down their throat. And you'd be an idiot not to do that.
Yeah, for real, man. The thing is with the Cowboys, I'm looking at these stats, right? And I'm seeing, okay, how bad was the game? Really, how bad at the end of the day was it? Now, Mike's joining us now. So he's joining us, but there he is. Having a little bit of difficulties. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, man. We're talking about the Cowboys and how bad they looked, and
very nice.
What I'm going to do is, I'll just leave the screen like this so they can see us all. So I was talking about the stats, how bad was this game? And I'm looking at the total yardage for the Cowboys, Baltimore versus Cowboys. Baltimore had 456 total yards. Cowboys had 412. Passing yards, Ravens had 182, right? Cowboys, 361 passing yards. Rushing yards, this is where the game was won in the trenches. Ravens, 274 passing yards compared to the Cowboys just rushing just a dismal 51 yards when it came to rushing yardage. Yards per play, 7.6 for the Ravens, Cowboys 5.9. First downs, 24 for the Ravens, 26 for the Cowboys. Third down efficiency, 4 of 9 for the Ravens, 7 of 13 for the Cowboys. Total plays, Ravens had 60, Cowboys had 70. Sacks allowed, was crazy. Ravens allowed 0 sacks. It was unreal, dude. Their QB had all day to throw the ball.
When you run the ball that much, you're not going to get sacked.
You're not going to get sacked. And Jackson, basically, Lamar Jackson had all day to throw the ball. His offensive line was great. The Cowboys, not so much, but the Cowboys, Dak got sacked 3 times. At the end of the day, the game wasn't as bad on the stat line as it appeared, for the first 3 quarters. Yeah. But the score is anything but, this was a close game. No, it was not a close game. This was an ass kicking from the get-go. The better team won. The Cowboys, I thought, would play with some heart, do something. They didn't do anything, man. The Cowboys just showed no heart for the first 3 quarters of the game.
That stat, 274 to 51, that's going to sum up every game for the Cowboys. The only way they're going to win games is if they throw it all over the field. They're not going to run the ball. They're not going to stop the run. Dak has to make it a shootout every week. That's just how, and that's how they won last year. Here's the secret to the Cowboys last year, because they won the division, so we think they were a good team. They had a very, very simple formula. They would jump out ahead of you early. They would force you to throw the ball. Because when you throw the ball, now Micah Parsons can sack you. Now you're throwing at Deron Bland and Diggs, guys that intercept the ball. And again, that's how they won games last year. But they've always had this. They had this issue since 2019. Remember when they played the Rams in the playoffs, and they had some third string running back go for 200 yards or something? They
Right.
always lose big games to the teams that realize, hey, they can't stop the run. But now everybody, it don't have to be a good coach anymore. It doesn't
Well,
have to be Kyle Shanahan.
the problem with the Cowboys is that they're a front running team. If
They're
if they
built
don't
that
have
way.
a
Yeah.
if they don't have a lead, they fall behind by 2 scores, they're going to lose. And I know that Joe was going over all the stats. None of the stats really matter up until the fact that the third quarter was 28-6 at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, game was
Right.
over pretty much. Yeah.
Dak got his junk stats that he always gets, which is like, oh my God, he threw for 360 yards. But he had 140 yards at the point in time when they got down 28-6. So he got 220 junk yards along the way. His stat line looks great, but it means absolutely nothing. Now, the Cowboys played with some heart down the stretch, got it within 3 points, got that onside kick, which is almost impossible to do now with the new rules.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys yesterday are a team that is lost defensively. Mike McCarthy is not going to be head coach of this team in December. He's not. They didn't extend him. He's a lame duck head coach. They're playing like they have a lame duck head coach. They have a new defensive coordinator. A lot of crap is hitting the wall right now. They cannot stop the run. Derrick Henry, there were 3 or 4 plays where he just carried the team 10, 12 yards, the Cowboys defensive line. Micah Parsons, Lamar Jackson was making Micah Parsons look silly.
Yeah.
And Micah Parsons is one of the greatest defensive players in all the NFL right now. But when they had a one-on-one, they're 3 yards from each other. He got juked every single time, man. Lamar, left, right, left. Lamar juked him every single time. They cannot stop the run. And right now, what we're seeing is a lot of parity right now in the NFL. The Cowboys are not, I don't think they're that far away from being a decent team. But the wheels are starting to fall off a little bit. 1-2 start is not a very good way to start the season. It's just one of those things. You look at the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are just, Joe and I like to use this phrase. They're just kind of just all right. They're just a team.
Not even all right. They're not even all right anymore. They're just plain bad.
When you have such a fatal flaw where you can't stop the run, and it's not even to say they can't stop the run is an understatement. Like, Mike, I threw out a stat. The Saints and the Ravens, who just scored a gazillion points on the Cowboys, they ran the ball 79% of the time against the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
That's unheard of in modern football. And when every team's going to do that. So the Cowboys, their offensive line kind of sucks, but it's young. It's all right. Their wide receiver core, all right. Their quarterback, all right. Their secondary, all right. Like you guys said, they're all right. But they have such a fatal flaw that unless they fix it, and I don't see how you can fix it, they're going to lose a lot of games because you're all right everywhere else, but you're bad at stopping the run. And now everybody figured it out. Everybody watched the Packers game and said, "Oh, anybody can run on them. It's not just the Niners. Why don't we just do that? Why don't we just do that?" And everybody's doing that.
Now the Cowboys had to make a quick turnaround because they have a Thursday night game against the Giants coming up.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal, man. Whenever you try to bounce back, normally the team that is home wins the Thursday night game. The Cowboys are playing at Jerry World. They've lost 3 in a row in Dallas. The one playoff game against Green Bay. They lost the 2 home games this year. This is the home cooking game, right? This is the Thursday game. Short week. They're at home. They played at home this past weekend. This should be a victory, right? Because this is a gimme game. I think the question becomes if this is a long, drawn-out battle where the Giants battle the Cowboys and Cowboys can't do anything, we're going to see a lot from this team because they should be 2-2 when this is all said and done, right? And kind of reset themselves. And then at that point have 9 days to figure out what's what with that team. they get a kind of a mini bye. So it's really telling what's going to happen this Thursday. But the Cowboys, man, I mean, you just watch them play. Like you said, they can't stop the run for crap. And why can't they stop the run? They did nothing this offseason to fix it. They did not get any players to stop the run. They did not do anything. Dude, Mike McCarthy has been set up for failure from the get-go, dude. This is all Jerry Jones. This is all Steven Jones. This is all front office types who didn't go after any of these guys. And by the way, seeing Derrick Henry go off, and what did Derrick Henry say? I wanted to play for the Cowboys. He wanted to play for the Cowboys. So the Cowboys never even looked at him, never even gave him an offer. He signed a deal with Baltimore that wasn't even that big.
Well,
Derrick Henry, yeah.
The thing is, when Jerry gave Zeke the money, which was we act like he gave him a lot of money. It was what, $12 million a year, which for a running back it's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
We all tease Jerry Jones. Oh, that's such a stupid contract. Well, this offseason, the running back market got a little pricier than normal.
Right.
And I think it's basically we all shame Jerry to the point where he doesn't want to pay him anymore.
Well, I mean, Saquon kind of, made it so. There were a lot of big names that were on the move this past offseason. Josh Jacobs was on the move. Saquon was on the move.
So the price went high, and Jerry, he's scared to pull that running back trigger again because, we all teased him. Even Tony Pollard got paid, and he's a part-time back. The market went higher than I mean, even the Giants, they didn't think Saquon was going to get a lot of money in the free.
Look at Mario Cavazos. He says they got defensive tackles from Dollar General. Hey, just wanted to give a quick shout out to you, Mario Cavazos. Man, I'm sorry, brother. I got so busy I forgot to wish him a happy birthday. But you know what? Happy belated birthday, man.
Happy birthday, my man.
Mario, happy birthday. And the thing is, when you watch the Cowboys, because you try to look, well, why can't they stop the run? Like, it's so elementary. Those defensive tackles, to Mario's point, they're not eating up blocks. You're seeing offensive linemen going upfield blocking linebackers. They're at the second level.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Demarion Overshawn, who's like what, maybe 215, 240, getting manhandled by a 350-pound lineman.
Look at what our good friend of the show, Matthew Lerma, says. How are the Cowboys this bad? Jerry went all in.
They're all in, baby. They're all in. They have no size on the defensive line.
No,
that's just the weird thing. Defensive ends, okay, so fine. DeMarcus Lawrence, you have Micah Parsons coming on either side. It's the middle. Dude, Mozzie Smith. I don't want to use the word bust yet.
Jeez, man.
Bust.
First-round draft pick, right? So the Cowboys spent that big draft capital for him, and he's been a bust. He so far, hopefully he develops, but that is a pick that looks to be like a whiff right there. That was supposed to be one of the players to kind of solidify the defensive line. How much do you think this has to do with the fact that maybe, just maybe, it's the fact that Dan Quinn is no longer there? Or was it a problem with Dan Quinn, so it just kind of just kept going?
It's kind of a Dan Quinn issue because Dan Quinn developed a defense to beat the modern spread, right? He wanted to be fast. He was playing safeties as linebackers, like literally playing. He wanted to be small and fast. Matter of fact, we bring up Mozzie Smith. Dan Quinn had Mozzie Smith lose weight after he got out of college. Wow. He wanted him to be smaller and faster, and it works. Dan Quinn's defense works if you're going to try to throw on the Cowboys. The problem is, again, everybody figured out, they're little, just run on them.
Right.
So we're still feeling the effects of Dan Quinn's personnel. They tried to fix it, right? They went out and got Kendrick at linebacker, a real linebacker. They're not playing three safeties anymore, in the middle of the field. They're trying to, but at the end of the day, you can't. They didn't overhaul the defensive tackle room. They didn't get big. They didn't draft a defensive tackle. They didn't do anything to address it.
Before the season started, Joe and I gave predictions as to what the Cowboys' record would be. I said 7-10. I said they did nothing to address anything in the offseason. In fact, this team is worse than what they were last year because they lost a lot of talent. They lost some offensive line talent. They lost some players. They didn't improve over the offseason, so why would we think they'd be any better? I said 7-10. That was when the season started. John, you're a diehard Cowboy fan. You see this team week in, week out. Give me a record that you think, as of right now, the Cowboys are more than likely to hit.
So I said in the summer, it depends on their rush defense, right? I said that would be That would either make or break the season. Well, season's broken. 7-10 sounds about right. They're not again. They can't unless they go out and trade for a good defensive tackle, which I doubt it. I honestly think this is a red shirt year for the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy's on his final year. They're not going to re-sign him. They let a bunch of free agents go, kind of to reset the roster to a degree. They're playing two rookies on the offensive line. This is a red shirt year for the Cowboys. 7-10 sounds about right.
This sounds like the movie Office Space. You know, Mike McCarthy didn't get fired. We just fixed the glitch. His contract just ran out.
That's a great point. But that's what they did to Jason Garrett, too.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is too cheap to fire a coach and have to pay him to leave. Mm-hmm. That's a great way to put it, Mike. He just fixes the glitch. He just lets the contract go out. So we're just in a wasted year.
The Cowboys' biggest issue is Jerry Jones himself. You know, Jerry Jones is such a moron. If he had paid Dak, if he had paid CeeDee Lamb early on, they both would have been in sync already. I mean, you can tell that they're missing, that they're not in sync right now. They're missing that chemistry right now because they didn't play together in the offseason, you know. And the other thing with that is if Jerry had paid them, he would have had cap space where he could have maybe added a Derrick Henry to this lineup as well. By him waiting, it was detrimental to the team.
Yep.
And it was dumb for him to say we're all in because he didn't do anything. You still paid your guys, but you paid them and you made them wait. Why? There's no logic behind it other than just his inflated ego.
Everything you said is 100% right. Because, I mean, even Lamb's out of shape. There was times crucial when they were making their comeback yesterday. Lamb was on the sideline, and he wasn't hurt. You know, I think he was gassed. Yeah. When Zeke held out a few years ago, Zeke would post videos of him working out in Cabo, right? Or it was on the beach. Lamb didn't post any workout videos while he was holding out. I mean, and now it shows. I mean, I don't want to put it all on him, but he's obviously out of shape. And to Joe's point, if you paid him in June or May or April or last year, you would know what your cap space is going to be. You pay these guys early, and you can go get a Derrick Henry for $7 million a year. You can make a run at a defensive tackle. So you're absolutely right, Joe. I mean, they started doing business September 1st.
Yeah, but you're all in. You know, if you're all in, you should have started doing business before the season even started, like other teams were doing, making moves.
So Jerry Jones is all in on Arkansas basketball. That's what he's all in on right now. That's what he's spending the most money on right now.
With Tyson Foods and Walmart.
Yeah. Calipari, all those guys. Right now, the Cowboys are looking up on the standings right now. The Eagles got a win yesterday in New Orleans. Come from behind victory. It was one where the Eagles were winning most of the game. Saints made a touchdown down the stretch to go up with about 3 minutes to go, but they lost it in the last minute. And Joe, you said to keep the energy. I'm wearing my shirt on a loss. Okay, so RJ Ochoa says victory polo. We're gonna have losers t-shirts.
Yeah, I can't wear the polo. Yeah, I was gonna wear the polo, but I'm like, no, I can't wear it, man. They lost.
Saquon Barkley, for some reason at the Superdome, just blows up. He just loves playing there. Had a 60-some-odd yard touchdown run. It was the longest of the season. I believe it was 65 yards. It was a good game. I mean, it was a defensive struggle. It was 3-0 at halftime. Honey Badger getting an interception in the end zone. It was a good defensive game. As a Saints fan, I'm not upset about the loss. 3-0 is greater than 2-1. I get it. I'm happy as a Saints fan that we're 2-1. But I'm also glad because I told you this yesterday, last week, Joe. I thought the Saints could win. But I thought the Eagles were better, much like I thought that the Cowboys were better than the Saints. Maybe not. But the thing is that if you're going to lose, I want to see a game like that. I want to see a game where you're punching away at it and you're trying to win at the last minute. It was just the Eagles got the ball last and they won the game. You know,
I'm looking at the stats, Mike. I'm looking at them right now. The Eagles dominated the Saints in every statistic that you can think of. Total passing yards, total yards, rushing yards, yards per play. But then you look at the final score and it was only 15-12. So the Saints defense did enough to keep the Eagles at bay.
Honey Badger with an interception in the end zone. You saw the Eagles go on a 93-yard drive to end the first half. 93 yards. Went for it on 4th down and got stuffed at the line. Saquon got stuffed at the line. And so you go 93 yards, not get any points. Then we're down 3-0 at halftime, right? You see Jalen Hurts fumbling the ball, going down the field 60 yards and then fumbling the ball because he got sacked from behind. The Saints defense is legit, man. That is a legit defense. They just couldn't get anything going offensively. Kamara got things going in the second half a little bit. And I'm glad. Here's what I liked about yesterday's game from a Saints fan's perspective. When you play a C-D game and you're still in it against a quality team, those are good hallmarks of a decent team. On top of that, they didn't abandon the run. You see the Cowboys do this a lot. Clint Kubiak, down by 3, down by 6, whatever the case may be, kept feeding Alvin Kamara. And that is a testament there to good play calling because you don't want to become one-dimensional. It was a good loss for the Saints. It was a good loss. It's a bad loss for the Cowboys because the Cowboys see the Eagles get a victory there, and the Eagles go 2-1 on the season. Hey, Dyer, I'm looking at the standings right now. There are 2 teams in the NFC that are 3-0. Quarterbacks are Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. Is Sam Darnold suddenly elite? Sam Darnold yesterday with 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions. They beat the living crap out of the Houston Texans. The Minnesota Vikings are undefeated right now.
Who's the best team in the NFC? Is it the Vikings?
I mean, 3 weeks in. You know what? I mean, you see Zach Charbonnet go off for a couple of touchdowns for the Seahawks. It's Charbonnet, who's the best backup running back in football right now.
Well,
it's
look at that.
Funny. And then
we're not talking about Andy Dalton, man. Come on, bro.
Andy Dalton, dude. Bryce Young is okay. We talk about Mozzie Smith being a bust. Bryce Young has been given no favors, right? I mean, he's had 3 offensive coordinators already in his short career. No love. But when Andy Dalton can go in there, former Dallas Cowboy Andy Dalton, former Cincinnati Bengal Andy Dalton, former New Orleans Saint Andy Dalton can go in there and be like, no practice, no problem. Let me just go over there and ball out and get a victory. 300 pass yards, 3 touchdowns.
Ridiculous, bro. Come on.
And the media all week long was bashing the Panthers for ruining Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, they ruined him. Nobody can win there. And then Andy Dalton's like, he drops a W on them. It'll be interesting to see how the national media backpedals that. Quarterbacking this year is hilarious because you mentioned Sam Darnold. Who else did you mention? You said the
Geno Smith.
Geno
Smith.
Geno
Justin
Smith
Fields is 3-0.
Yeah. This year's crazy.
You know what I got to do, though? I got to pause real quick here because I forgot to do it earlier. I got to go ahead and do the grito and pour some out for Saints fans and Cowboy fans. And it was a bad weekend for Joe here because Cowboys lost and my Sancha team, the Texans, got their teeth knocked in as well, man.
Yeah,
so I got to do the grito. No, the grito's not working today. I don't know what.
Presumir a mis amigos les conté que en el amor.
Man, this show got ethnic real fast.
There you go. It was too ethnic for Mike, John.
Mike's gonna leave.
Yeah, man. No aguas frescas for Mike, man.
Oh, come on, baby. I'll take the piña, please. Thank you so much.
He's going to make himself a mayonnaise sandwich in that kitchen behind him.
Oh, mayonnaise, bro. That's disgusting, man.
Oh, mayo's fine. Apologies for being late, man, but I had a work assignment that had a deadline today at 10 a.m., and I got it done. So,
there you go.
Of course, I got it done at 9:59 a.m., but deadline wasn't met. Yeah. No, but we're talking to John Dyer. John Dyer, Cowboy fan. You know him as Spurs and Salsa on Twitter and also on Facebook as well. The NFL season right now, we say this all the time. You cannot win a Super Bowl. You cannot win a game in the first quarter, but you can lose the game. You can lose the game by getting a lot of losses. You want to rack up as many wins as possible. And it's just one of those things where we're going to be looking back at this 4 weeks from now. Do we expect the Vikings to be 6-2? I don't know. Do we expect the
It's hard to-
same? It's kind of hard to say.
It's hard to say.
Because really, who wins in the playoffs are the teams that are getting hot down the stretch. You can go 6-0 and miss the playoffs. We've seen that before in the NFL. But right now, it's just teams are being exposed for what's wrong. The Cowboys are being exposed because of the run defense. The Texans got exposed yesterday as well. There's not a lot of toughness on that Texans team. Are they a finesse team? They got blown to bits yesterday. It was like they tried to finesse their way to a win, finesse the way down, and they got embarrassed. They got popped in the face.
Check this out, Mike.
Yeah.
What are the current Super Bowl odds now that we've gone a couple games right in the season? We're about 3 games in. Look at what the Vegas is put up right here, right? The Vegas odd makers. Current Super Bowl odds: Chiefs plus 450.
Makes sense.
Bills plus 1,000. Vikings plus 2,500. Then you have Seahawks plus 3,000. 30,000, should I say here? And then you have the Steelers plus 35. I'm like, man. So your top teams, I guess, to make the Super Bowl right now is going to be Chiefs for sure, Bills, Vikings, Seahawks, and Steelers.
Yeah,
you agree with that?
I some of this is tasty, man, because I like the Bills at 10-1. The Bills are at some point it's got to happen for the Bills, right?
Yeah,
they don't have to.
Josh Allen is good enough to make this. Josh Allen, any given Sunday, could be the best quarterback in all the NFL. Any given Sunday. The Chiefs right now are winning nothing but one possession games. And I know the good teams win one possession games. But the Chiefs right now look mortal. They look mortal. They should have lost to the Ravens. They should have lost to the Bengals. They look mortal out there. And Travis Kelce is not the same Travis Kelce that we normally see. And that's normally what you want as the emergency blanket there. The get the 5 yards, move the chains for Mahomes and the Chiefs.
What was the headline with Kelce? He was in shambles because Taylor Swift didn't show.
Oh, I saw that, dude.
I'm like, come on,
I doubt it. Yeah.
Sure, hey, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, Mike. This is the real elephant in the room, though. With the Chiefs, are they getting bailed out every single game by the refs, man? Because you're playing 2 games out there, Mike. You're playing one against the Chiefs, the other against the refs. And look at this play. This was a blatant pass interference call that was not called. And they're going to show it in slow motion, man. I mean, the camera doesn't lie. And they're basically hugging the brother.
Mm-hmm.
The ball's not even, I mean, come on, man.
They got bailed out. They got bailed out.
Again.
The first game of the season, they didn't get bailed out. The receiver for the Ravens, first game of the season, had his toe out of bounds, right?
Yeah.
That's not a bailout. It's one of those things where we thought that, wow, they're going to lose the first game of the year. Yeah. That wasn't a bailout. That was not even controversial. It just happened.
Toe was out. Gotcha.
The game against the Bengals, it was a pass interference, but it was also a bailout because that probably wouldn't have been called in the first quarter, but it got called in the fourth, right? It was like, yeah, letter of the law, that was a penalty, but you don't want to have the penalty decided that way. I mean, much like back in the day last year when back in the day when Mahomes got pushed out of bounds and they called a penalty on the Bengals at that point, and it ended the game. That one right there, though, that one was a penalty. That one was getting bailed out. And I mean, the Falcons right now are playing with toughness right now. A lot of tough. They're a tough out. But you look at the Chiefs right now. I'm looking at the stats right now for Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce barely has 100 yards on the season. For the season. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at this at what Mahomes likes to do come January. Do we believe that a 35-year-old Travis Kelce is going to just somehow find the fountain of youth and just ball 3 or 4 games?
What if he's pacing himself the way Tim Duncan used to do later in his career?
Man, I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? Or Are the Chiefs just bored? Are they just playing with their food right now?
They're
You know what I mean? Though,
3-0. They're 3-0, baby.
they're still winning. I'm not going to count them out until I see, until you see the dead body, until you see them on the playoffs eliminated.
You want to see a dead body?
You got to see the dead body.
Well, I mean, we said that last year, right? We said that the Chiefs were not that good.
Exactly.
And not as good as before. They won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But they're not as good as they are now compared to where they were last year.
But who is? I mean, this is going to be. I mean, the NFL created parity, right? That's why we all love the league. That's why it's the most popular sport in America. We've got it.
Yeah.
If you ask the three of us who's the best team in the league, we're going to get three different answers. I mean, week to week, we're going to find people out, and we're going to see who's good coaching, who adjusts.
Do you know who lines up well against them? I'm not saying is better. So Joe, don't get mad. All right. I don't want to get your boxers in a bunch. All right.
Saints. Here we go. Yeah, I already know.
No, the AFC, the Jets.
I could see that.
The Jets, I'm talking about roster wise, is kind of built to go up against a Chiefs team.
Anytime somebody says Jets, I throw up in my mouth a little bit, man.
Don't
ever bet on this Jet. Don't bet on this Jets team, man. They're frauds, bro. I'm telling you.
They got talent all over the place.
They're gonna get exposed, Mike. The wheels are gonna fall off.
They got
fall off.
They have a lockdown corner. They've got plenty of weapons on the offensive side.
Mike got a hard on because freaking Aaron Rodgers is back. I'm just like, bro, that's fool's goals, man.
70% of what he normally is. If he gets healthier throughout the season,
he does.
Yeah.
I think that's who he is now. I mean, he's older. Like you mentioned, Kelsey, Rodgers coming off a horrible injury. I think this is who he is, and it could be enough. The defense could carry him the way. Remember when Peyton Manning won that Super Bowl with the Broncos?
Yeah,
and he was just a shell of himself, but it was enough. I could see the Jets challenging him. I also could see the Jets. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers could hold up in the playoffs.
No, man. I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna get hurt, man.
I'm looking at some of the scores from yesterday's games. Things that I find fascinating. It's the bounce back. The Broncos at 0-2 taking on the 2-0 Buccaneers. You would think the Buccaneers would just mop the floor with them.
Yeah.
Broncos went in there. We're up big early, going to win 26-7. The Vikings somehow or another just keep rolling, 34-7. The Green Bay Packers, without Jordan Love, their season's supposed to be over, right? Malik Willis comes in, saves the season, is now 2-0 as the quarterback, 2-1 overall record for the Packers. That's amazing. That's amazing. I just think that right now we're learning a lot about these teams. I don't think we know the upside for a lot of them.
We don't.
I mean, we look at a team like the Jets and we go, okay, well, what's the upside for the Jets? Are the Jets legit? Are they really contenders? The Packers look tough again without their starting quarterback. Jordan Love out probably another 2 more weeks or so. Texans getting popped in the mouth, man. That was brutal.
Jeez.
The Eagles got the win that they needed to get, but they only scored 15 points. The Saints played a horrible game. Defensively, they were good.
Where would the Eagles be without Saquon Barkley?
I know.
I mean,
maybe we should. How do we look at the Eagles? Do we look at the Eagles as fool's gold? Do we look at the Eagles as, hey, you know what? They're a Saquon Barkley catch, or that one catch that he dropped away from being 3-0? Are we sleeping on the Eagles?
I would say fool's gold, but who in the NFC would prove it, right? Who's going to go beat them?
The Eagles are 2 plays away from being 1-2. They're 1 play away from being 3-0.
Yeah,
I mean, literally, they're the team of inches kind of team right now. The same thing could be said about the Chiefs. The Chiefs could be 1-2 right now. They're 3-0. Are they really that much better than a 1-2 team? That's
NFL.
Yeah,
it's the NFL now. Every week we're gonna be hyping up a team. The Niners quietly lost yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
27-24 to the Rams.
Like, who do you believe in?
The Rams made a really miraculous comeback in that game, I got to say, man. They played with some heart. They got a touchdown and then just never looked back. The momentum switched in favor of the Rams, and they won the game.
I think more than anything, or more than ever, I would bet on coaching. Because right now the NFL just seems very even. Coaching is what's going to put a few teams over the top. We always look at quarterbacks, but we're seeing guys like Sam Darnold win. I think coaching is what's going to win this year. Who adjusts? Who has the staff that gets you over the hump? Because right now everybody's about right here.
You know what?
Nobody-
Speaking of that, John, everybody thought that the Miami Dolphins head coach was all right, but now that they've lost Tua, this Miami Dolphins team doesn't look very good, man.
Yeah, I mean, and who's their quarterback? Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, back up. Somebody you never heard of, man. And they got beat down by the Seahawks yesterday, 24-3, man. It was bad.
Yeah,
Seattle's quietly good.
Geno Smith almost threw for 300 yards, but he did have 2 interceptions. Zach Charbonnet coming in to start as the running back, 91 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. He also had 16 yards receiving. By the way, Zach Charbonnet, I got him in my fantasy draft. Sorry, auction league.
One team that I think the Cowboys need to be wary of, man, this Thursday, going to be the Giants. Giants beat the Brownies, man, 21-15. They might be as bad as the Cowboys, but the thing that scares me is every time you get these matchups, right? Cowboys play the Giants, and it's in their conference, right? So the teams get up to play against one another. I don't know, man. The Cowboys, now that they don't have any running game to speak of. Their secondary is porous. They can't stop the run. I don't know, man. This Cowboys team right now has me with the big question mark. Is me being a diehard Cowboys fan, I want to see something. Like if they go up against the Giants and they just absolutely decimate them, we're gonna hear it, John. Vamos para la Super Bowl. We're back, baby.
No.
Well, I mean, the reason why I think that the Cowboys are going to do well against the Giants is the fact that the Giants don't have a bruising running back. Derrick Henry pushes the defensive line. Alvin Kamara can push the defensive line. That's the issue that you've seen. Who did the Cowboys beat? The Cowboys beat the Browns, right? Jerome Ford was running RB1 for the Browns, so there was no Nick Chubb. Chubb would have ran up and down this team. Who's the running back for the Giants? Devin Singletary. I'm bigger than Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is like 5'6",
but
5'7".
Athletic, Mike. Come on.
I am sneaky athletic, but I do weigh more than the $185 that this guy does. This guy weighs. It says that he weighs 200 pounds. I don't believe it. But Devin Singletary is a small back. He's not going to be able to push the defensive line the way that a Derrick Henry could.
Now, does he have to, though? Because like I said, if that offensive line is getting to the second level and blocking linebackers, then it don't matter who's running the ball. This is a gut check time for the Cowboys, for the defense. Can they salvage? Look, they're not going to ever be a good rushing defense, but can they at least stop something?
But the problem is that even if they have a good game, you're going to be able to look at it and go, well, they played Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
There's nothing the Cowboys can do that you're going to be like, well, that's great. We can build on that because at the end of the day, Daniel Jones is a joke of a quarterback. Now, Daniel Jones did have 2 touchdown passes yesterday, so he actually looked like a decent quarterback yesterday. He was 24 for 34, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, right? Only got sacked twice. This is a guy that gets sacked all the time. It's a guy that always fumbles the ball. The Giants played a relatively clean game yesterday, beat the Browns 21-15. The Browns are really good defense. Offensively, the Browns suck. Deshaun Watson can't do anything.
He's washed, man.
He is washed. Dude, Deshaun Watson, that arguably is the worst contract in NFL history. Personal opinion.
Probably.
21 for 37, 196 yards.
They should have kept Baker. Baker was not the problem. They should have kept him, man.
Right. And the fans loved Baker Mayfield.
They did.
The fans loved him.
Hey, you know what? This is a good comment right here by Tornier Analysis. He's talking about the Cowboys game on Thursday. If the Cowboys get beat by the Giants, is the season over? Bigger question is, if the Cowboys get beat by the Giants, how soon will Mike McCarthy be done? Is Jerry going to wait?
I would think Jerry would pull the trigger, but who's the interim coach?
Exactly. That's the other thing. If they let him go and they say, hey, man, you ain't it, dude. You've lost the confidence of the players and you're out of here. Who are you going to get?
Because you would think maybe Mike Zimmer, but his defense is the reason McCarthy would be out of here. So you would look like an idiot for doing that.
Well, you would need Zimmer there simply because he has the head coaching experience.
Yeah. But then it would look even worse, right? Because it's the defense losing these games.
It would be an interim head coach. It wouldn't be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know that. I'm just saying, what do you do? I think at that point, Jerry probably pulls the trigger. But I don't think Jerry cares. I think this is a redshirt year for him. Um, he's waiting. He's already waiting out this contract. He's waiting for again, great point. He's waiting to fix the glitch. So I don't even know if he cares. And people, Jerry Jones pretends to want to win no matter what.
Yeah.
He doesn't show anything to suggest he really cares. He doesn't care. He's making money, and all
He
that
sells
BS.
t-shirts.
He sells T-shirts. All that BS about Jerry would do anything to win. No, he wouldn't. He won't even put curtains up in the stadium. You see those
Look at
last.
Tex-Mex Frank. Belichick is waiting. No, bro.
That's what they're gonna do. Jerry Jones. That's another thing. He only his whole thing is he wants a coach with experience. But what that really is, he wants a coach that got fired somewhere else.
Yeah, he wants he wants an old head, dude, like Belichick, man. It's like that ain't it, man. The Cowboys need to get with the modern times, man. You see a lot of these other younger coaches, they're running, extravagant schemes out there, man. And what they're able to do, bringing something new to the game of football. And you got these old coaches like McCarthy, you get Belichick, and they're a bygone era, dude. They're not going to bring anything new and exciting to the game, you know?
Exactly. And that's why even when they fire or when they let McCarthy go, I'm not going to get excited unless they get younger and get modern. I mean, even the offensive scheme looks bad. They can't scheme anybody open. The only time they're throwing to a wide open player is if Lamb runs a quick slant route. Other than that, everything's contested. They don't know how to scheme anything. They run it every first down, and their running game sucks. So every series basically starts with Dak's holding the ball at 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9.
One thing we're going to actually talk about too, or we're going to discuss right here is I'm going to show this on screen. We got a doubleheader, man, coming up tonight in Monday Night Football, So pick your fighter, choose your fighters. Who you all got winning these games? We got the Jags versus the Bills, the Commanders versus Cincy, man. Who you all got?
I think we got two blowouts, man. Give it the Bengals because the Bengals are desperate today. Although I am excited to see Jaden Daniels go out there, LSU star for the Commanders. He's done very well his first couple of games, but I think that Burrow's pissed. I mean, Joe Burrow wanted to throw his team under the bus last week. He didn't say it. It was on the tip of his tongue. He wanted to say, "You guys suck." But I think the Bengals win, and I think the Bills are right now the class of the AFC. I think the Bills right now are the best team in the AFC as of now.
Yeah, I agree. 2 blowouts. I mean, they gave us 2 games that are 2 bad games. So they're hoping we just keep switching back and forth.
I know you're a fantasy football guy. You're going to be watching these games, and hopefully you get your points. Nobody wants to be last.
Well, let's give some love to MCS General Contracting, man. They that Diamond Hard Concrete. Joe normally wears their hat, but today he traded it in for Cowboys blue. We're repping our loser colors today, man. Here's my Saints gear.
Oh God.
And I was gonna wear a Cowboy polo, but like you said, that's victory polo Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't earn the victory. So
I'm wearing my star. I still got my star on my shirt, but I couldn't wear the polo today, man. All right, so let's go ahead and give some love to MCS. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
That Diamond Hard Concrete from MCS General Contracting do an amazing job. I used them earlier this year. Did an amazing job, John. They did a sidewalk on the side of my house.
You saw it. You showed me.
It was great, man. That's right. You did come by.
It looked good. It looked very
cool. You know who looked good this past weekend? Jadon Blue. My man, 4 touchdowns for the Texas Longhorns. Longhorns rolled against Monroe. What was it, 51-3?
Yes.
Looking at the rankings that are out today. According to the AP Top 25, the Texas Longhorns remain at number 1 as they now begin their first season in SEC play next weekend. Georgia ranked number 2, Ohio State number 3, Bama at 4. Tennessee at number 5, moving up a spot after going into Norman and beating that Sooner ass over the weekend. You saw Missouri go off and stay at undefeated. Ole Miss at 6, Miami at 7, Oregon at 8, Penn State at 9, and then you've got Utah at 10.
Yep.
I saw that Tennessee team, man. They look pretty good too, man.
They're
They
a
did.
really good team. The top of the SEC is going to be fun this year. I think we get Georgia at Bama this week, as a matter of fact. So we're going to lose an undefeated team in that top 5. Texas, their quality win against Michigan looked a lot better because Michigan went out and beat USC. So and again, Texas should roll right up until that Georgia game, and we might end up getting 1 versus 2 in Austin in about a month.
That'd be amazing. The first SEC game, conference game ever for the Texas Longhorns. This weekend on the SEC Network, you've got a 4-0 Texas team taking on a 1-3 Mississippi State team. Texas favored by 38.5 in their first SEC conference game. You got some big matchups there. Illinois taking on Penn State this weekend. That's going to be pretty good. It's fun, man. Oklahoma State against Kansas State. That's another top 25 matchup. Miami is taking on Virginia Tech this Friday on ESPN, so you'll have some Friday action going on.
You know what? UTSA had a good week, man. They had a good Saturday, dude. They finally got in the win column.
Yeah, they beat Sisters of the Poor.
They beat Houston Christian. Is that what it's called?
Houston Christian.
What my question? That used to be called Houston Baptist. I wonder. What happened there?
So the Roadrunners will start their conference play against East Carolina this weekend. Both teams coming in at 2-2. Game's going to be 3:00 on ESPN Plus. East Carolina is favored by 4 in that game, but Vegas is expecting this to be a high-scoring game. UTSA plus 160, so you can get some odds on that money line right there.
What do you guys think of UTSA and the Pac? I guess right now it's the Pac-6.
Pac-12, man. That's the thing that they've been. The rumor has been going abound, and we've seen everything that they've been posting on social media and whatnot.
I think they're gone. UTSA is going, and the reason I say that, Jeff Traylor has openly talked about it.
He has.
You don't flirt with the new girl unless you know unless you already landed the new girl. You don't piss off the old girlfriend unless you know you got something coming on the other side. The fact that he was very open. He goes, yeah, there's talks going on. And to me, that they're as good as gone. I think they should do it too. I think the Pac-12 is going to build the best G5 conference.
You know what was funny to me, John? I had tried to have this discussion, civil discussion, right? One of my good friends, right? One of my good friends is Jonas Clark, right? And me and him are always talking sports. And I went and sent him a text message with the screenshot and everything with Coach Traylor and talking about, hey, are you all talking or flirting with the Pac-12? And he's like, yeah, we are. There's discussions that are being had. And I sent that to him. And he's like, no, that's not real, man. They're not. What's in it for them to move to the Pac-12? Why would they want to do that? More exposure, bigger markets. They're going to be playing more marquee teams.
And here's the thing. The Pac-12 is about to build the best G5 conference. And right now in the new playoff, college football, there's 5 automatic bids for 5 conference champions. So the Power 4 eat up 4 of those. The last one's supposed to go to whoever the best G5 conference winner is. If you build a conference of the best G5 schools, you pretty much lock in that playoff spot almost every year. That's why you go. You go because you're going to have more money, and you're going to be in a conference that almost guarantees a playoff spot. So UTSA's path to the playoff would be win this conference. Yeah,
when UTSA moved to the American at the time was a very, very nice conference to be in. But what happened was the Big 12 pillaged the American Conference. So we didn't move up. I mean, in name, we moved up from going from Conference USA to the American Conference, but it's not the same American Conference that was there because 4 teams moved and they were the best 4 teams, best 4 programs. So UTSA needs to find a home. I think ultimately UTSA really needs to somehow finagle their way into the Big 12. But as of right now, chasing that dream against Colorado State. I mean, Colorado State, Colorado State being one of the teams mentioned for the Pac-12. The only thing that I can think of, John, is that you have a lot of big media markets there, because you have San Antonio. If UNLV joins, that's the Las Vegas market. If you have Texas State join, that's the Austin market. At the very least, you're getting big markets put together.
Well, you lost me with Texas State, but you're on the right path, right? They want Memphis, they want San Diego State, they want Colorado State. They are going after the big cities, and I think that's where UTSA is in play, because they're a big school. They're a state school in a big city. I think they're in. I really do. I don't. Again, Jeff Trader wouldn't say that.
I was surprised.
Yeah,
I was really surprised.
That's
He
supposed.
doesn't
That's
say
supposed to
anything.
be. That's supposed to be a no comment.
He never says anything about anything. You know, that is a no comment type of thing. Drew Show with a $5 super chat, wanting to turn the attention back to the Cowboys. Exactly what more can Jerry do? He pays his top guys. He hired a Super Bowl winning coach.
Teammate coach, yeah.
They draft Pro Bowlers. Cowboy fans are the worst. Here's the problem. The problem with Jerry Jones is that he does not lock down players when he should. That whole thing with CeeDee Lamb, he could have visited that a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Instead, you see other players set the market. Before he could have extended CeeDee Lamb when there were zero $30 million receivers. There were 5 when he finally did it.
Exactly.
He could have extended Dak at $50 million or $52 million, right when the price point was that. But then he waited for Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, players like that, to get their deals, and that set it at $60 million for him. The other thing that he doesn't do, he does draft good players. The Cowboys are pretty decent at drafting players and pretty decent at developing players. They drafted Micah Parsons. They drafted CeeDee Lamb. They are good at drafting. Mozzie Smith might have been a bust, but they can draft. What they don't do is they don't do trades. They don't do the waiver wire. They don't go after free agents. That is the problem. They don't go after marquee free agents. Like Von Miller, for example, back in the day was wanting to be part of the Cowboys team. You think the Cowboys defense would be better if Von Miller was on there, a healthy Von Miller was on that team? He basically said, we got lowballed so bad in this by the Cowboys. And now you see these teams. The Cowboys right now are the team that free agents use as leverage to go someplace else. Just start the rumor mill. But the Cowboys don't improve the team by bringing anybody else in. You cannot have a Super Bowl winning team by just drafting and developing players. It's not only the Cowboys. The Spurs are the same way.
No,
you can't just do it by the draft. You have to bring in some talent.
And now to go back to what more can Jerry do? I mentioned that coaching is going to win a team Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
You go get better coaching. Jerry Jones doesn't believe in Mike McCarthy. He's just letting it run out this year because he's too cheap. That's if you want a direct answer, what he could do, he could have gotten a new coaching staff this offseason.
And look this is what happens with the fans, man. We believe every single season for the past 27, 28 years. And look at this poor son of a bitch. He's having the worst day of his life there, man, watching this 28-6 beat down early on in the game with the Cowboys and the Ravens. And, you know, you have the memes that go on every weekend after a Cowboys loss. Some of them pretty funny, man. But at the end of the day, me as a Cowboy fan and being a lifelong Cowboy fan, laughing at these little memes are hilarious. But really, real talk, I'm tired of the losing, dude. Cowboy fans out there, they're tired of the losing, man. They want to see the team get back to greatness. And right now, this ain't it, dude.
No, they're good. They're a good enough organization to get to be decent and good. I mean, he had back-to-back years of 12-win seasons. I mean, there are a lot of teams out there that wish they would have won 36 regular season.
Yeah,
games.
but it's the same old thing.
Wish they would have won a couple of division titles.
You get to the wild card, get to the playoffs, and you lose.
They're not a Super Bowl team. The one chance that they had to win the Super Bowl was last year. Everything had opened up because you had quarterback injuries. You know, you had injuries. Just get by San Francisco. That was like the one step. And then they couldn't even get by Green Bay. You know, that was the thing. That was their window. The Cowboys right now, if they're not going to do trades, if they're not going to do anything in free agency, they're just a mediocre team. Yeah. It's a mediocre franchise. And
the thing is, when you rely on the draft too much, when you have a bust, any kind of bust, it's a gaping hole in your roster.
Right.
Like Tyler Guyton got destroyed yesterday, the first round draft pick left tackle. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a bust, but trying to plug a rookie at left tackle is going to bite you in the butt. And then we keep talking about how they can't stop the run. The Mozzie Smith draft is really biting in. There's a gaping hole in their roster because if you only rely on the draft, when you miss a draft pick, especially a first round draft pick, it creates a gaping hole in your roster, and that's what they have right now.
Well, they got 3 days to figure it out before the game Thursday night.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit on the Spurs. People were saying don't complain about the Spurs for me right now. I'm not complaining about the Spurs. Right now, you know what? Before we get to go to the Spurs talk.
You're going to go on a rant, man. Don't be talking Coach Pop, bro.
No Pop rant. Everyone knows my opinion on it. By the way, thank you, Dyer, for agreeing with me on the UTSA campus, the UTSA football stadium talk that we had on Twitter. All these people, we like the games at the Dome because of air conditioning. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up.
Because air conditioning, if that's your draw, then people are going to just stay home. We all have air conditioning.
They've obviously never been to a game at UT Stadium, bro. Come on.
Exactly.
They've never been. Baylor,
campus stadium, any campus
Houston,
stadium,
LSU, any of those places. Football is an outdoor game. It's an outdoor game.
Hey, since we're on this rant, I want to put you in a corner. Did you see LSU fans leaving the game because it was too hot?
I did not. No.
Oh man.
Yeah,
a win is a win.
LSU fans were complaining about the heat. They left.
Well, here's the thing, man. We talk about how like there's like Phoenix heat. You know, Phoenix heat is it's that hot heat, but it's dry. And then you've got San Antonio, which is really humid. LSU's got that swamp ass heat, man. I mean, you literally get swamp ass over there.
And I get it to a degree, right? Because the first UT game this year was really hot. Like it was hot, but that's football in Texas, right? Like we're all used to it. We all either love it or don't go. But I don't want to get too much into the dome talk, the campus thing, only because it drives people nuts. But yes, I do agree with you.
I'm looking at the humidity in LSU at Baton Rouge right now. The humidity is in the 70% range. So, jeez. I mean, it may as well have been foggy over there.
But football, it's going to be on.
That's what beer's for. That's what beer's for, right? That's what that's for.
You know what? Go ahead. Give some love to Jeff.
To Jeff.
Okay.
Let's see what he's got going on these days.
Well, definitely. Locked on Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked on Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at JeffG10s5SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at JeffGSpursZone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@LockedOnSpurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked on Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah, Jeff Garcia has an article about how Keldon Johnson is at a UIW football game. The guy's all over the place, man. You know, I find it funny that Keldon Johnson gets a lot of grief from Spurs fans. This is a guy who's done nothing wrong. What exactly did Keldon Johnson do to piss people off? He averaged 19 points per game one season, or 20 points per game, right around there. He's been good in the community. He has never sucked. I mean, maybe he's not great, but he's never sucked out there.
I'll tell you what he did.
You
want to know what he did? Spurs fans, especially on Twitter, they have new toy syndrome, where they once a toy ages out, they disregard it for the shiny new toy. Ever since this rebuild, ever since we've been bad, whatever you want to call it, we fall in love with whoever we draft, and for 2 or 3 years, it's the shiny new toy, and we defend it to the death. He's ours.
Yeah.
And then once the toy ages out, we disregard it. Like
wait, John.
You go from Buzz Lightyear to Woody real quick.
I heard this rant from you on Twitter one time. And one time I swear I heard you say It's going to happen to Sohan at some point.
Yeah,
I
it
heard
is.
you say that.
Yeah. He's about to become. He's going to go from Buzz Lightyear to Woody, and maybe this year.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this year. By the way, the Spurs start the preseason in 2 weeks. 2 weeks
And
from
this
today
isn't
against Oklahoma City Thunder.
this isn't a new rant. I was on a Locked On Spurs a few years ago, right before DeJounte Murray's All-Star year, and we're talking Murray. And I said the same thing. The reason people are down on Murray, he's Woody now. He's not Buzz Lightyear.
Woody.
And that's why people get mad at you for Sohan, because right now he's still Buzz Lightyear, and you point out his flaws, and he's still in the honeymoon stage, and it's aging out. But that's what Keldon does. To your point, he does nothing wrong. He averaged 16 points off the bench last year.
I mean, Keldon Johnson, 15.7 off the bench last year. The year before, 22 points per game. For his career with the Spurs in 5 seasons, he's averaged 16.3 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He won a gold medal along the way. The guy is a good guy on the community with the Spurs, representing the team, representing the city. He goes not only in San Antonio, not only in Austin, but he goes to Corpus Christi. He goes to the Del Rios and Laredos of the world to spread the gospel that is the silver and black Spurs. It's just weird because he's just not he's not a star. He's just a very good role player.
And none of them are, except for one.
And a lot of fans want to kick him out the door. And when I said that he was tradable this offseason, it was because he has a really tradable contract. Not necessarily because I want him gone, because you need a player like that around. But I don't know where he fits right now, because you have Harrison Barnes come in. He's going to start. Right? All 82 games he played last year, he started at small forward, right? Harrison Barnes has that role. Is Keldon Johnson the 6th man? Well, no, that might be Trey Jones. Is he the 7th man? Well, no, that might be Stephon Castle. Is he the 8th man? I don't know. That might be Zach Collins. He might be the 9th guy on the team. That's the weird thing about it all, is that he's a 16-point per game guy who's going to get 24 minutes per game, but he might not get on the court until the beginning of the second quarter.
But if your 9th best player can give you 15, 16 a night, that's a good roster.
That's not bad. I mean, the Spurs are destined to go 35 to 38 wins this year. They're going to get better. They're going to get more wins.
Ain't going to be enough to get you to the play-in. 35, 38.
Not going to be enough to get in the play-in, but don't worry, because Trae Young's going to tear an ACL. We're going to get that number 1 pick, man. We're going to make that happen. Sorry, I'm not going to put that out there in the universe.
Don't do that.
Knock it all wood.
Look at this. Same shameless plug, man. Me and Jeff, we recorded the premiere episode of the reboot that used to be Two Shots, that now is the rebrand of the Area 210 podcast on Friday. Released the episode on Sunday. Go check that out on the YouTube channel. And we and Jeff asked the question, how long until Wemby dominates the league? How long do you think that is going to be? Because he's going into year 2. He's going to be a better version of himself than he was in year 1. We already saw little flashes of what he can actually do near the end of the season, when he was dominating games at times and actually propelling the Spurs to win. He's like, you know what? We ain't losing this game. F that. We're going to win this one, and I'm going to make sure we win. How long until you think he's going to dominate this league? We'll start with you, Dyer.
Do you mean how long until he's like an all-NBA player, or how long until the Spurs are winning games?
No. How long until him alone? How long is it going to take until we see Wemby being that dominant force, both on offense and defense, and just being like, you know what? This is the best player in the NBA right now.
I would say this year he'll be on an all-NBA team, and then the year after is when he's all-NBA first team, one of the top 3 players in the world.
What about you, Mike?
In 2 years.
Okay, so this might be a bad controversial take here.
No, never. Not coming from you.
I know.
He's gonna be defensive player of the year this year, right?
Well, yeah.
He's gonna be an all NBA player this year. My most improved player of the year. Vegas has those odds that he'd be that guy. I expect that to be as well. So I think he'll win both awards. I think he'll be one of the 3 all-NBA teams, probably second team all-NBA is what I'm thinking. I think he'll be a top 5 player the 3rd season, and he may grow into a top 3 player years 4 and 5. The controversial take on all this is whether or not he's going to be head and shoulders above everybody else when it comes to play. And I don't know if that's going to be the case. That's the controversial aspect of it all, because we had Tim Duncan, who is one of the top 5-6 players in NBA history.
Mm-hmm.
Was he at any point head and shoulders above anybody in the league? Or was he just
2001, 2005?
He won in back-to-back MVPs. I mean,
yeah.
So does Steve Nash. What I'm trying to say is that you have great players. You could be an all-time great, but that doesn't mean that you dominate. That's the one word. Like Michael Jordan dominated the NBA. LeBron James, did he dominate the NBA, or was he just really good for a long, long period of time? So whenever people say dominate, that Wemby's going to dominate the NBA. Does Giannis dominate the NBA? Does Nikola Jokic dominate the NBA? So what I'm trying to say is you could be the best player in the entire NBA, and Wemby may very well be the best player in the NBA 2 or 3 seasons from now. But the question is, to quote-unquote dominate? I don't know. Because I think in order for you to dominate, you need to have a better cast of characters around you. You need to have a better scheme around you. So right now, I can see him being one of the best players in the NBA. That's a no-brainer. But the word dominate, I don't see it yet. Not because of him. It's because the table hasn't been set for him yet.
But your whole take is nobody ever dominates. So you're like, your take is kind of like that doesn't exist, which is okay.
It hasn't existed since Jordan.
yeah. But the thing is, though, in today's NBA,
Kobe didn't dominate.
No, Nikola Jokic has been given the acronym best player in the NBA, winning the MVP already multiple times.
So Mike's point, there's a difference. There's a difference between being the best and dominating.
I get that.
I would argue Tim Duncan from 2000 to 2005. I mean, I think that 2003.
He was the best player. He was the best player.
He was dominating. I mean, he drug a pretty average roster to 2 titles within that span. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there might be a dominating window, a 1 or 2 year. Shaq might have dominated 99, right?
2003, yeah.
But there might be 2 or 3 weird windows. I think that a lot of Spurs fans are under the impression that Wemby is going to be a dominant force like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a decade. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but you need to put the team around him to make that happen. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Wemby's not a great player. I'm not saying that Wemby's not going to be a top 5 player or even the number 1 player overall. It's just the word dominate that kind of gets me.
You don't like
Look at this. Okay. JHNSB says Mike is going to like Cooper Flag more than Wemby, calling it now. And you know what Mike is also going to love, what he falls in love with? His favorite stat, effective field goal shooting. That tells me everything I need to know about the player. I'm like, oh, man.
It's true. It's true. I mean, look at Moneyball, right? Sabermetrics. There is something to be said about the stats in a game. That's why the Warriors were so good for a decade, is because they realized we score more points, and we're more with the higher effective shooting percentage, we're going to win games. When you have Sohan shooting an effective field goal shooting percentage of 48.3, bottom 15 percentile of all players in the NBA, that says something.
And we got some bickering in the chat already, man, because you're having Mr. Z and Drew show going at it, talking about defensive players and this and that. At the end of the day, what happened when got Wemby? The Spurs were one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. After the Spurs got Wemby, and when Wemby's inserted into the game and he plays, their defense is noticeably better. But at the end of the day, the Spurs are still one of the worst defensive teams out there because the numbers don't lie. The stats don't lie.
I think having Stephon Castle out there being the first round draft pick this year is going to help to all that. That's what I see from the Spurs right now is Stephon Castle's locked down. Sohan has the ability to be locked down, and then you have Wemby. 3 of the 5 players on there have the potential of being locked down. Devin Vassell doesn't suck at defense. He was actually locked down when he was at Florida State. But if he can regain some form there, and then you have Harrison Barnes, who's okay. So right now, the Spurs could have a lineup out there with 3 lockdown guys and 2 decent guys at defense, or 2 above average guys at defense. This team is getting better. It's just being cohesive defensively together as a team.
I think having some of the veterans are going to help. Is going to help the team get better as far as defense goes. You're going to have Chris Paul. You're going to have Harrison Barnes out there. Even with Chris Paul, he's aged already as a point guard. He'll be able to give you some leadership out there and possibly not make a lot of mistakes as they were, in previous seasons with the younger squad out there. But the thing is that the squad should be noticeably better on defense. Not saying they're going to be elite, but they're going to be better enough to maybe win some of these close games that they lost in the previous season. And that's what's going to translate to them getting a couple more wins, maybe 35, 33.
And I think once they move Wemby from the 4 to the 5, they got better.
Oh, no. Yeah, no doubt.
So
it was Wemby and Coach Pop being stubborn. He's like, I'm going to let the young man play the position he wants, but at the end of the day, he's going to have to figure out that if I go ahead and play this other position, the team got better, Yeah,
and I think I think they'll already be better just because they learned that later in the year. And I think guys like Devin and Keldon and Sohan learning their role around Wemby.
Yeah.
I know I saw someone in the chat trying to blame the hatred for Keldon, something about not wanting to, something about a press conference at Wemby. I think the whole team kind of was a little defiant about who they are as opposed to who they are around Wemby.
Right.
But I think later in the year, Devin Vassell got a lot better towards the end of the year. Once they all learn how to play within the Wembyverse. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of NBA players want to play with better players. Once the core guys, and I think they were learning towards the end of the year, once the core guys learn how to be involved around Wemby, though, right?
Yeah.
This is Wemby's world, the Wembyverse. How do we fit into the Wembyverse? This is Wemby's world. So,
that's why that pick, and I called it in December. Joe, you know this. Locked on Spurs. Jeff Garcia knows this. I was saying it in December that the Spurs needed to draft Stephon Castle. I said it 4 months before March Madness. I'm looking at this guy from UConn named Stephon Castle. That's the guy we need around him. I'm excited about Stephon Castle, not necessarily because of all the things he brings to the table, but how he can make life easier for Wemby. That's why it was such a great pickup. Don't get me wrong, Reed Shepherd, and it was an excellent shooter who went number 3 to the Rockets. I get all that. But the one player that complimented Wemby the most in this draft was Stephon Castle.
I agree.
And I am in love with that guy. That guy is like my son. I will anoint him as my son right now. Hey, Joe, can you give me some love real fast with my number? Because I'm going to have to bow out a few minutes early, man. I apologize. I got to get back to work. But my number over here is 210-508-0369. 210-508-0369. Man, I travel all over the state getting business when it comes to investments and insurances. That was 20 pounds ago. We got to get a younger.
I like that picture. I'm gonna keep it. It's motivation for you.
Motivation. My face is thinner now, baby. 210-508-0369. Again, investments, insurances. I'm now at 15 million of investable assets right now that I have for clients. I help people with their retirement. Map it all out. That's why I'm in Houston right now. I have clients out here. No, I'm not buying any Rockets gear, by the way, Joe. My girlfriend was trying to get me Rockets gear, and no, not going to happen.
You buy Rockets gear, we're not going to let you back in the city, man.
Dude, I will never wear an NBA team. Take that back. There's only one NBA team that I've ever worn a jersey or a shirt of that wasn't a Spur, and that was Kevin Johnson when I was in high school, because that was my favorite basketball player growing up. I was a KJ guy.
There you go. Well, call Mike, man, and I'll go ahead and change this so we can kind of see each other a little better here. But, Mike, I know you got to get going. I'll finish the show off here with Dyer, and we'll go ahead and discuss some other things in regards to the Spurs and the world of sports. See you, man.
I'll be back and see you tomorrow.
All right, man. Latest. Oh, sorry. I kicked the wrong person out. Oh, man. So yeah, man, we had something happening here in the chat as well. We had some buddy being disrespectful, man. Mr. Z, look, man, I'm all for everybody having a good discussion here in the chat, but don't be coming over here and calling people dummies and names and stuff like that, man. That's not the place for it, man. Like we're all here, here to have a good time and just be respectful with one another, man. If y'all are gonna be disrespectful in the chat, you're gonna be gone, man. We want to keep this civil, dude. We don't want to get to the point to where things are ugly. So, John, there you are. I kicked you out by accident, man. But I was addressing the issue that was going on with the chat. Somebody was just getting a little too crazy in here, man. We had some guy named Mr. Z come in here and start calling people dummies and stuff like that and being a little too aggressive. That's not what the chat is here for, man. It's here for us to have a good civil discussion, man. So if y'all can't do that, you're going to be gone, man. We're not going to be putting up with that and, people getting racist about comments as well. There's no place for that, man. Yeah, we've had that, dude. Then if y'all can't be respectful of one another in the chat, you gone. So thanks for letting me know what was going on in the chat, guys. I appreciate you. I got y'all's back, man. So don't worry, man. Happens again, just let me know because I am looking at the chat. And, like, again, dude, just be respectful for one another, man. There's no place where we're all adults here, man. We're not like kids in middle school anymore, So come on.
Just give Mario full authority to add people, delete them. He'll
handle
business in there.
No, man. Look at it goes. I'll replace Mike on the show, Joe.
There you go.
It said Joe laying down the law. No, man, I'm just saying, dude, just be respectful. But the Spurs season is coming here shortly, dude. And I know everybody gets really passionate about the team and their takes on the players and whatnot. And I mean, it's this time of year that we like so much as sports fans. Not only do we get to talk about NFL again, college football, John. We talk about the Spurs starting the season. We're going to start talking about MLB playoffs, man, in the month of October. The Rangers are no more.
Nope.
No more. So you still got the Astros, I think, are still in the race,
Yeah, I think they're going to win the division. I know a lot of people in San Antonio are Astros fans, so it'll be something passionate. The Astros fans are passionate here in town, so they got another run in them, which is impressive because they're doing like a Spurs type of run right now. They've been so consistent.
Yeah,
they've been in the mix every single year. It's real impressive.
Look at that. Sam Salinas says, I had to go. I got a bad signal in the gym. He said, what did Mike do to get kicked off the show? Mike didn't do anything bad, dude. Mike had to leave because he has work calling him. So he had to leave early. So we're finishing the show out with Dyer. And thanks, by the way, for staying for the whole show, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, it's fun.
And the people love you, man. They love you when you come on the show. It's like we get more viewership in the chat, like more people are watching. We get more interaction. I'm like, mira, Dyer, he's a pinche star of the show.
It's all my cousins. I just have them log in and bump up the ratings.
And there you go, man. But we have a lot of things, like I said, to talk about in this month. We look forward to having you return. Hopefully you can on Mondays, when you can.
Yeah, I should be able to. I should
be a part of the show, and talk NFL, talk, Cowboys, and either it's going to be good news or it's going to be bad news every Monday if we're a Cowboys fan. Hopefully it's better news Thursday, and we're talking about the Cowboys on Friday in a good light. They gotten back on the winning record here. But if the Cowboys lose, like we said, it's going to bode not well for them. And we might be seeing the firing of one coach McCarthy early on.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. If he loses Thursday, it'll be a long weekend for him.
Yeah, he's going to be done. But I saw this too, man. I wanted to talk about this and get your thoughts on this. Because we've seen the great Vince Carter, half man, half amazing,
Yeah.
And look at what the Raptors are doing, man. I think it's overdue, though. They're going to go ahead and retire his jersey, and they're going to hang it from the rafters. I think they should have done that a while back already. I mean, he did so much for the city, What are your thoughts on that?
I always wonder when there's a gap, like to your point, right?
Yeah.
It should have happened the day after he retired. But I also don't know his relationship. I think here in San Antonio, we take for granted that all the legends have a great relationship with the franchise still, right? So it's not always that's not always the case. I mean, look at Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones, right? That was way overdue. So a lot of times, jersey retirements, number retirements, whatever you want to call them, sometimes they get delayed because of personal issues between the athlete and the franchise. And we take it for granted because every Spurs legend is welcomed into the building. Not only welcome, like even when I don't want to break, when the Spurs visited the Longhorns game, even Manu was out there shooting the cannon off.
Yeah.
So our legends are always around. So for us, it looks weird, right? Oh, it took you that long to honor him, but it happens. Personal issues happen, and the way things are left, it'll be interesting to see how long before they retired DeRozan's jersey, right?
Yeah.
He didn't leave on bad terms, but I know he was a little hurt by it all. But that's why jersey retirements sometimes take longer than they should.
Yeah. You got to go ahead and have the formalities behind the scenes and say, hey, we're
Mhm.
sorry, man. Go ahead and come back. It's nothing but love. We want to give you your
Exactly.
roses, you know?
Yep. Exactly.
So I get that, man. Oh, and look, Sith that he tagged me in something in the chat. He put on here, he
Where's
said,
Rick? You want Rick?
where's Rick? He thought Rick was gonna be on the show today. I'm like, no, bro, it's John Dyer. And then
We gotta,
everybody's always they're commenting on you, Dyer. They're saying, Mira, John Dyer is that cute. And they said John has a face made for camera.
no.
John, your
I've known
hotness is bringing in the ratings, bro.
no, it's because I've known Mario a long time, so he's just giving me
Yeah.
shit.
And look, where I
Uh,
was giving Elias a hard time, but this is what he was showing. He was showing how the Raptors jersey is kind of
oh,
harkened
that's
back
nice.
to Vince Carter era, Vince
That
Carter era.
that's how you honor somebody. That's really cool.
And look at the number, dude, on the Raptor, dude, number 15.
Yeah, that's
That's
really cool.
awesome. Can you
Yeah.
imagine if the Spurs had done something like that with the City Edition jersey? You know?
You know what I would like? The the throwback San Antonio jersey,
Yes.
but make it all white for the ice fan.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
call,
that would be dope, man, if they did something like that. But it's better than what we're getting now because we showed the City Edition leaks, the supposed leaks. Jeff Garcia, if you listen to the latest episode of the Area 210 podcast that's out there, Jeff is kind of teasing that might not have been the actual City
I don't see
Edition
how it
jersey.
is.
He
I
said
don't see how
that
it is.
he said that there might be something else coming in the works there. He kind of broke that news first on the Area 210 podcast. So there might be something that's coming through the pipe here that could, bring Spurs fans around again to the City Edition jersey. But we'll have to wait and see what really is going to happen. He couldn't tell me too much, but he kind of teased something is coming out. Oh,
You
and
got to
look
get
at
them.
Sith. I know what you were doing, dude. I saw that. I just wanted to give you a hard time because you were saying where was Rick. I'm like, John Dyer is not Rick. They're good friends, man. But Rick couldn't be on the show today. Rick is actually working his new job, so he's got training and things that he's doing.
Look
So
at him.
yeah, man.
The vacation's over.
Yeah, vacation over, man. He had to get back on the horse and he's starting his new job, so good for Rick. But we'll try to get him on, when we can, when he's not,
Yeah.
busy working right now. We all work. That's the thing. Even you're working too. We're working.
Yeah.
We all got busy schedules. So we try to get you guys on as often as we can. But John, I'll call you out and tell you right now, I do want to have you on the Area 210 podcast. Because
Okay.
we're going to be talking Spurs, heavy dose of
Okay.
Spurs on that podcast. So we're going to go ahead and get predictions. And I kind of want to have it as a roundtable discussion. So I want to get you. I want to have you in the studio. I want, of course, myself. And I also want to get Rick, man. We got to have the trifecta of the Puro Exit 7, representing. So
That'd
that's
be
going to be a
good. Real
thing.
good.
The Puro Exit 7 edition of the Area 210 podcast. So we'll
Yeah.
probably.
Hey, you could
yeah.
add Brandon to that. Brandon's from there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's an OG. He's younger than us, but he went
Which
to
one?
J.
Which Brandon?
Medina.
Really? He's from our hood?
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that, dude. I never knew
Yeah.
I knew he said he moved. He had moved, from where they were living when he was younger to where he is now. But I didn't know he was in the hood.
Mm-hmm. Or he was. Yeah, he grew up there.
Yeah, cool, man. We'll definitely have him on, man. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call this one because I got to get ready to go to work,
Yeah.
and I know you got busy to think. You got a busy day. You got to start your day. But again, thank you so much for joining us, man. It was a great
My
show.
pleasure.
And where can they find you on the X, man?
On the X, you can find me at Spurs and Salsa. Also on Facebook, there's a Spurs and Salsa Facebook page that is still alive and well.
And there you are,
Yeah,
man.
that's me.
You can follow him, dude, on the X. Make sure if you're a fan of the show, you go and give some love to John Dyer. Great follow. Very knowledgeable guy. And like everybody's saying, está cute el vato también. So
No.
go and give him some love.
Uh-huh. Appreciate it.
Oh, look at Drew Show says Area 210 to talk conspiracies and aliens. No, man. It's Area 210 just to go ahead and give the flavor of San Anto, and a little bit of the alien nod to Wemby, So it's a new era of Spurs basketball. So that's what we're going to go in with now. All right, man. So we're going to go ahead and call this one. Thank you guys for watching. Look for us tomorrow. We'll bring you another all-new episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. For John Dyer, I'm Joe Garcia. We'll see you boys tomorrow. We're out. Peace.